Geeks. In this episode, I'll be talking a little bit about what I did while on vacation, plus conversations with a Carny, and oh, so much more. Oh my God, what is that smell? Whatever it is, I think it smells like cabbage. Oh, that's right. It's Geek Eclectic. Take a whiff, boy, make you feel good.
Let's go!
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, wherever you might be. Welcome to the show. This is, of course, Geek Eclectic. My name is Stu, and I'm flying solo tonight. If you usually listen to the show, I'm joined by my good friend Nick, but I just got back from vacation, so I was going to hopefully do a quick show, just, highlighting bits of my vacation. So Nick will be back next episode. We'll be talking about all kinds of stuff. So yeah, I just recently got back from vacation. My wife and I went to Chicago, and we did, pretty much all the touristy stuff that you would expect. We went to Millennium Park. We saw the Bean. The Bean is like this, for those of you who don't know, it's like this mirrored bean object. It's huge, and it's just people, it's just surrounded by a mass of humanity, just people taking all kinds of ridiculous photos, selfies, and all that crap. Went to the art museum, which that was awesome. You need to go there. I have a design and art background, so I got a lot of enjoyment out of it. Just studying a lot of this stuff, in books and actually seeing it in person, man. Yeah, I feel like I came full circle. It was pretty cool seeing this stuff close up. So check that out. Shed Aquarium was pretty awesome. Adler Planetarium, it was okay. There were a lot of families, so if you got a family, go for it. Field Museum was pretty cool. They had when you walk in, the first thing you see is this huge T-Rex, and it's actually named Sue. It's like the primary thing to see at the museum. What was cool is that the actual skull was on display, but it was on display separately because the thing weighed like 600 pounds, and what I took away from it is that, the T-Rex has a very keen sense of smell. So I remember back to that scene in Jurassic Park where the guy tells the kid, oh, stay still, they can't track you by your movement. And meanwhile, the T-Rex is turned to the kid, and just like breathing in this kid's direction. Okay. That kid would be a fucking goner. I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry, son. You're gone. You dead. Oh, God. So yeah, we went to the top of the Sears Tower, went to the top of the Hancock Building, which I personally like the Hancock Building better. I thought it had a better view of the city and the shoreline, which it was beautiful. It was amazing. Oh God, how could I leave this out? We ate nothing but deep dish pizza the whole time. We ate Lou Rinaldi's, Gino's East, Giordano's. Oh my God. Okay, I think my arteries are clogged, so if I don't make it to the next episode, you guys are gonna know why. Because I'm dead by deep dish. Oh my God. But not one pizza really stuck out to me. They were all, they're all pretty damn good, but I think if you take elements from all three and combine them into one, you got the perfect pizza. You got the money pizza right there. It was all right though. They were all pretty damn good. I'll say that. We had a great time. Chicago is a beautiful city. There's so many freaking buildings. The architecture is amazing. I mean, coming from Cleveland, Ohio, we pretty much have like 2 buildings downtown, and it's like, damn. But yeah, don't worry, Cleveland. I still love you. There's just always something going on in Chicago, and one of the biggest regrets I have was not going to a Cubbies game, and I was pissed about that because the night I wanted to go, it ended up downpouring, and it just ended up being postponed, and it didn't work out at all. So we had an awesome time. We had an awesome stay. We stayed there for like 3 days. But one part of what I want to focus on is our trip to and from Chicago. You see, we ended up taking a bus to and from Chicago because it was cheaper than flying. It's probably cheaper than driving ourselves. So I'm all about saving some dough. So I was like, why not? Let's do it. So we board the bus at 11 a.m. at the Greyhound station in downtown Cleveland. And my wife and I take a seat on the bus where there's an electrical outlet so we can charge our phones and tablets and other devices. And this is where the fun starts. This guy sits down in the aisle across from us. I'd say he's about like average height. He's wearing a black hoodie with a Monster energy drink logo on the front. He's wearing khaki pants and he's wearing these black shoes. I call them Burger King shoes because there's like no noticeable logo on them, and they look like weird old man Velcro shoes. But anyways, so he got this like weathered face. He's got like a bandage over his eye. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with this dude? But and he had like, short, messy hair and a dirty trash stash. Little do we know, this guy would just provide us hours of entertainment. I know his real name, but we'll call him Bobby. Damn it, Bobby, what are you doing? God damn it. So the first thing Bobby says to me is, hey man, how's it going? I'm a Carny. My reaction is, oh, how you doing, man? Wow, that's cool. And he immediately whips out 2 proofs of ID, to prove that he is in fact a Carny. He's like, see, man, I ain't lying. So I was like, all right, that's cool. So I asked him where exactly he's coming from, and he tells me he's coming from the New York State Fair. And he tells me, I take the bus everywhere, man. I take the bus everywhere to get around from one fair to another. But I'll never sleep on the bus, though, man. I once saw someone get their head cut off on the bus. Bullshit, says a little voice in my head, but I'll let him continue. So I was like, oh, really? He's like, yeah, man, I remember there was this jealous chick, and she took a machete to her man because he was cheating on her. I had to help carry this dude's decapitated body off the bus. That's why I don't sleep on buses, man. I'm like, I don't blame you. I mean, that's if that's not traumatizing, I don't know what is. So he continues. He's like, yeah, man, I've seen some weird stuff being a Carny, but man, it's a lifestyle, and you make a good living. And he pulls out. This is when he pulls out this huge wad of cash. It's just a ghetto wad wrapped in a rubber band from his pocket. He's like, he's just holding it in his hand. He's like, this is where it's at, man. Now, I don't know about you, but I wouldn't go flashing my cash around in front of a total stranger. Obviously I'm not gonna take it, but you never know. I'm sure as hell wouldn't do that. But anyways, I was like, oh wow, man, that's impressive. It was probably his life savings. I don't know, but I can't trust the banks, man. I don't know. So, anyways, he tells me that he runs 8 different carnival games, and that this ghetto wad is from the New York State Fair alone. And he tells me, listen, I don't know what you do for a living, man, but I'm gonna tell you, you should get into the Carny business. There's a lot of money to be made, man. I'm like, oh, apparently so. I mean, geez, look at what you're holding right there. And then, he just cuts me off, and he's like, yeah, man, I got a 16-year-old son, and he has a doctorate. All right. Time out. Pump the brakes. At this point, I just know this guy is just full of shit. This dude is digging a hole of bullshit, and I'm just going to let him see how far he can go. So I decided to play along. I'm playing stupid, and I'm, instead of calling him out. So, I mean, what am I going to do for the next, God, I don't know how many hours we were on that bus. I think we were on there for a while, like 8 or 9. It was ridiculous, I know. But I was like, what am I going to do for the next like 8 or 9 hours? I'm like, I'll let this dude, roll with it. So I was like, oh man, well, that's very impressive. I'm like, your son like must be a genius or something, having his doctorate and all at like 16. And he's like, yeah, he doesn't want to do anything, doesn't want to teach, because he sees how much money can be made in the Carny business, so he wants to follow his old man. And he's like, you want to know or you want to know how I paid for my son to go through school? I was like, yeah, man, how did you do that? He's like, see my hoodie? And again, there was like a Monster Energy logo hoodie on the front. And I'm like, oh yeah. So he's like, check it out. And he turns around and he shows me the back of his hoodie. And and it looks like it was written in airbrush. And this was just something that just looks like you can only buy it at a carnival. It's like written in airbrush, and it says, Red Bull gives you wings, but Monster gives you horns. And then he chuckles, and he's like, yeah, man, this baby earned me $20,000. All right, the bullshit alarm is just going off in my head. I'm like, what? Yeah, man, I got it trademarked and I got it stamped at the post office. Once you get it stamped at the post office, dude, it's trademarked. Nobody can do nothing about it. Oh my God. I don't know. I don't think that's how it works, but I let him continue. I got in touch with someone in the marketing department at Monster, and they loved it so much, they paid me $20,000 for it. I got 6 kids, man, and it all goes to them. I'm like, Jesus, 6 kids. Oh my God. He's like, yeah, man, how old do you think I am? So I get a good look at his face, and I made my guess. I was like, I don't know, like late 30s. He's like, I'm 31, man. I was like, Jesus. I'll say that for what it's worth, Renee thought that this guy was in his late 40s, or was in his like 40s or something. I mean, the dude was looking weathered as hell. So he tells me that he grew up. He grew up in the Carny business back in the 80s, and he was telling me how, man, back in the 80s, the Carnies were raking in the cash. We would outright rip people off, and we wouldn't care about it, man. Nowadays, it's all family friendly. Everything is regulated, and you can still make good money, but back in the day, that's where it was at, dude. But he tells me that the real money is in concessions. And, I was like, if the real money's in concessions, then, why aren't you getting in on that? And he told me that, I don't know, I guess he had a concession, but he doesn't, quote unquote, use it anymore. I don't know what that means, whatever, but he's told me, yeah, you got to deal with like health inspectors and all that stuff. I ain't gonna fuss with it. So who knows? He probably got shut down or something. Who knows? But, he did, however, give me some good recommendations as to what I should eat at different carnivals. He told me you can't go wrong with the deep fried Reese's Pieces cup. The deep fried Milky Way, can't go wrong with that, or the Snickers. But to stay away from the deep fried Oreo, apparently it's no good. So we're talking about food, we're talking about all this stuff, and he starts talking about deep fried Mountain Dew, or as he called it, deep fried Mountain Dew balls, which he said are his absolute favorite. So get your pen and paper out, or pencil and paper, whatever your writing utensil is, and I'm going to tell you how to make a Mountain Dew ball delicacy. So here we go. What you're going to need is Mountain Dew, an ice cube tray, some dough, and flour. I'm going to do it in the voice of Bobby. All right, so this is what you're going to do. You're going to freeze Mountain Dew in ice cubes, and then you're going to combine it with dough and flour. You're going to roll that all together in a ball. You're going to dunk it in the deep fryer, and boom, You got deep fried Mountain Dew balls, baby. Balls. So he said that I guess you can do the same thing with Kool-Aid. So there you go. You can make deep fried Kool-Aid and deep fried Mountain Dew. And if anyone can make that work, then email me and let me know, because I don't have a deep fryer. If I did, I'd do it. So he goes back to talking about his carnival games, and he tells me, that he gets hit on all the time by all these young girls, and that he had 4 different marriage proposals in the last week alone. And I was like, So he tells me, he's like, I'm a happily married man. I don't need any of that trouble. So I tell him, it's got to make you feel good though. It's a compliment. It makes you, it's got to make you feel good. Like, yeah, man, I still got it. And he's like, yeah, it does. It feels good. And so he continues with the story. So these young girls are bothering him. They're like, oh, hey, if I win the prize, are you the prize? Do I get to take you home? And he's telling these girls, he's like, I'm nothing but trouble. And the girls are like, well, they ask why. And he's like, well, I'll just tell them I have syphilis, that's why. And they just walk away all disgusted. Works every time, man. I'm serious, he said that. Oh, God. I don't know. Bullshit or not, that one made me laugh. That was good. But, so we take a little break from talking. He decides to watch like a movie or something on his laptop. And later on, he rips off his earphones and he's like, hey, man, I got a question for you. I'm like, yeah. He's like, you ever heard of the band Journey? I'm like, oh, yeah, man, of course. And he's like, well, I got a fun fact for you. Did you know that Journey were carnies? I was like, okay, hard to believe, but no, I did not know that. So he's like, yeah, man, before they were a band, before they were a band, they were all working, in a carnival as carnies, repairing rides, primarily the Ferris wheel. And my boss has a signed photo of the band that says "Best Damn Carnival Crew." I don't know. I'm not buying that one. I do declare bullshit, for sure. But he told me he's met a bunch of famous people. One of them being Rob Zombie, and that his parents used to work in the carnival business, and that they raised him around the carnival. But that I guess they're out of the carnival business now. And that I guess Rob Zombie still has an appreciation for carnivals and carnies alike. And I'm inclined to believe him. I'll give him this story because I did a little digging. I only did digging for this story, but I did find out that, Rob Zombie, it did check out. His parents did work in the carnival business, and I guess he was raised around the carnival and all that. So I'll give him that. But I don't know if I'm going to give him the Journey story or any of his other stories for that matter. But he goes on, he tells me, oh, man, you meet all kinds of people of all shapes and sizes, man. It's a crazy business, but it's lucrative. And so at this point, he decides to ask Renee and I where we're headed. I tell him, we're going to Chicago. He's like, oh, is that right? He's like, I got houses in like 25 different states, man. I think I got one in Chicago if you guys want to crash. I was like, no, we're good, dude. We're good. I got a place squared away. We're good. And he's like, all right, man. I'm just trying to help out. So Renee is just trying to pry. She's like, she wants to know where this dude is from because she's as intrigued as I am. She's like, oh, where are you from? And he's not giving her a straight answer. He just keeps telling her. He's like, everywhere. I'm from everywhere, man. So we arrive in Columbus. We drop off. I think we drop off with this kid looked like a student at OSU. So we stop at the Ohio State University Union, and my wife is an OSU alum, so she sat there and she was admiring the campus and just saying how good it is to be back in her alma mater. And this is where the Carny speaks up, and he says, "Oh yeah, that's nice and all, but I went to MIT and I have a degree in robotic engineering. Oh my God, an MIT degree. Hold the phone. You're telling me you have an MIT degree in robot engineering and yet you decide to work in a carnival. Okay, yeah, that makes, a lot of sense. Yeah, he never offered an explanation for that one because you know what, you can't explain bullshit. But he's digging deeper, folks. He's digging that bullshit hole deeper and deeper. I'm just letting him go. So after our stop at OSU, we decided to stop at the downtown Columbus bus station, where we drop off and pick up more people. I will say this. Going to Chicago was the longest ass trip because you're making tons of different stops in different locations. And you're also like stopping in the most just remote locations to pick up Amish people. So it was a long trip going there. Coming home was a different story. But so we got a little bit of a break in Columbus, so we decided to use the restrooms, and so we returned to the bus, as does, I think we were calling him Carny Bobby or whatever. We'll call him Bob, Carny Bob. So the dude comes back, he's chomping on like a Subway gas station sandwich, and it's like cut in two. It's one, and he finishes the one half of it. And he turns to me and he's like, "Hey man, you want the other half?" I'm like, "Nah." I'm like, "Nah, man. Go ahead. That's all you. Save it for later." He's like, "Oh no, man." He's like, "I can't eat this, dude. My stomach is like half the size that it should be. I had like a surgery on it at a young age, and I can't eat anything." I'm like, "Oh, so it's almost like the dude had like gastric bypass surgery or something." But he's like, "Yeah, man, I hate to see anything go to waste, so please take it." So he hands me the sandwich. I'm looking at the sandwich is now in my hands. I'm looking at it. I mean, it didn't look half bad. It actually looked pretty good. It was ham, cheese, lettuce, tomato. So I turned to Renee. I'm like, "All right, if I get sick, you know what to blame it on." So I took a bite, and it was good. I ate it. So I thanked him. I'm like, "Oh, thanks, man. You didn't have to do that." So he was a good guy, just full of bullshit. So he was apparently still in the giving mood, and he asked me, he's like, "Oh man, you like Marvel, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? I was like, "Yeah." So he takes out this vinyl decal of the S.H.I.E.L.D. logo, and he's, throws it at me. He's like, "Here, man, I got tons of these at the carnival. I got a big old one on my truck." So he gave me that, and after that we just talked about Marvel movies for a while. But he took out his laptop and he decided to show me the wallpaper, desktop, I guess, on his desktop wallpaper on his computer. And it looked, how can I describe it? It looked like the Grim Reaper floating in the sky. It's holding out his hands, and in one hand there's the Great Malenko. And for those of you who are Insane Clown Posse fans, that's the name of one of their albums. And in the other hand, there's like this angel thing. And if this means anything, please let me know. I have no idea. But, he claims, he's like, "Yeah, I'm good friends with ICP. And, one of my friends made this, and that, this is going to be on ICP's greatest hits album, so just keep an eye out." So I'm keeping an eye out, dude. So what else was he telling me? Oh, I'm trying to remember. There's just so much crap. He was telling me how someone in the ICP crew bought his 2-year-old daughter this gas-powered like mini car, and that she drives it all over the place or something, and that she has road rage or whatever. And he starts to tell me that, "Yeah, man, she's getting so big. She's already a karate expert, just like her old man." I'm like, "Oh really? You take karate?" And he's like, "Yeah." Now, I forgot what discipline he was. He told me he was whatever he was taking, but whatever it was, he claimed to be a black belt in it. Of course, yeah, he's a 10th degree black belt in bullshit. But I looked over at him at one point in the trip, and the dude is sleeping. So yeah, I suppose someone getting their head cut off in front of you wasn't too traumatizing because you're sleeping like a baby. So there's that. So yeah, he woke up out of his slumber later on in the trip, and he's like, "Oh, what the hell?" I almost did that in the Hank Hill voice. What the hell? He's like, "What the hell? Why are my pants all dirty?" He's like, "Man, this bus is dirty as hell, dude. When I got on this bus, man, there was nothing on my pants." All right. I'm pretty sure that this dude had like shit all over his pants once he got on that bus. It was like, I don't know what he had on him, like oil or some shit. I don't know. Dude looked like he was rolling around in something. That's all I know. But he was telling me, he was still, burned up about his pants being dirty. And he's like, "Man, I've been on nicer buses than this. The buses that, like music artists take on tour, those really nice buses. That's what I'm used to, man. In fact, you know what? I could drive this bus. Yeah. I got my trucker's license, man. I even own my own truck. I use it to haul my carnival games." I was like, "Oh, yeah." I was like, "Wow, that's pretty cool." I was like, "Why aren't you, hauling your games right now?" And I forgot what he said. I think he's like, "Oh, my truck is broken or something." Yeah, broken. All right. I believe you. Right. So at this point, this other woman gets on the bus, and he's like, he's trying to like talk to her. He's showing her a stuffed animal, and she's just not having just any part of it. So he sits back in his chair. I think the stuffed animal was for his daughter. But yeah, so the woman is not, giving him any time of day. So he just sits back in his chair, and he's just fussing with his tablet. So I'm on my iPad, and I'm reading an article or something. And he's like, "Oh, you have an iPad?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Man, that's huge." He's like, "Man, I like my little Verizon tablet, dude. I pretty much got it for free." Yeah, no, I'm sure you did. It was at this point where it was getting kind of old. Broken record. Getting sick of all the bullshit. So I just wanted some peace and quiet. So I just listened to music for a while. So our trip goes on. We pick up and drop off more people. More Amish folk get on here and there in random fields or whatever. And we finally reach Indiana. So it's at Fort Wayne where this dude gets off the bus. Without any warning, this guy is gone. He's gone like a fart in the wind. No goodbyes. No, have a good trip. Just left. Just gone. Just probably off to spread more bullshit to other unsuspecting folks and to have a smoke. Oh my God. I told Renee, I was like, "You know what? You only meet people like that once in a blue moon." As I said earlier, the guy, he was a good guy. He's probably one of the, he was a very nice guy, but just probably one of the biggest bullshitters I've ever met in my life. And I've met some bullshitters. I will say that. Nick, you being one of them. I'm just kidding, man. I love you. But this carnival dude reminded me of like Joe Dirt, just with all these stories that he had. Dude was probably bullshitting me. He was probably getting enjoyment out of creating stories and lying to me, and maybe he was telling the truth. And then again, I'm doubting it. But either way, my wife and I were entertained, and gave us some entertainment on the way to Chicago. So, real quick, I guess I'll tell you guys about our bus ride home. We ended up leaving on Saturday, which it wasn't quite as eventful as our ride up to Chicago. But going home, oh my God. So we had this bus driver. She's this big black woman, And this lady, she ain't taking shit from nobody. She's just like zero tolerance for stupidity or anything annoying. But I get it though, because you're dealing with human beings just asking just stupid questions all day. So I get it. We did have one character on the bus coming home. He was this Asian guy, and he just reminded me of Mr. Magoo. Just just always going somewhere he shouldn't. And I don't even think this guy could understand a lick of English, but he got on the bus, and right away he's getting on the bus driver's nerves. Gets on the bus while talking on his cell phone very loudly, and he's just very loud, and he just sits directly behind the bus driver. The bus driver is just not having any of this, and she's like, "You better not be talking on that cell phone the whole time. I need to concentrate. I'm driving. I can't have you yapping away behind me the whole trip. This is you're gonna make me crash the bus. You need to move to the back of the bus." So this guy just continues to talk, just just keeps talking, just shuffling confusingly, while trying to find a seat still near the front of the bus, and this is just ticking the bus driver off even more. And she's like, "What's wrong with you? Go to the back of the bus." And he finally made his way like near the middle of the bus, and who does he sit behind? He sits behind us, my wife and I. So, I mean, it wasn't that bad. He didn't really talk on his phone for a while after that. But dude, the dude yawning like a mother, just like a vacuum, just inhaling air. And he just took nonstop photos of everything. Just photo of this, photo of that, country fields, parking lots, McDonald's, gas stations, you name it. This dude was taking a photo of every freaking thing. He probably took a photo of like the bathroom in the gas station or something, just being weird and pervy or something. But there was one moment, it was actually pretty funny, where he almost missed, I think he almost missed like boarding on the bus at the gas station, whatever. And the woman was like, "You better hurry. You better run, motherfucker." Oh God. Yeah, near the end of the trip, all right, so we're pretty much in Cleveland. And then the bus driver, comes over the PA, and she's like, "I smell marijuana on the bus. And I will have the police search this bus. Put that butt out now, or I'm going to have the police dog sniff up this bus. They don't lie. They'll find it." I mean, I didn't smell anything. So I don't know what she was doing up there, but I don't know. All I remember is that the bus was cold as hell. It was just felt like Arctic hell in the bus. But we finally reached Cleveland, went home, and we just crashed. We just slept so hard, man. But we had a great time in Chicago. We'll definitely be going back in the future. But it's always good coming home from a trip, just unwinding and all that stuff. So what do we take away from this episode, gang? Take the bus. You'll be entertained, possibly beheaded, yelled at, and you might meet some interesting people. So it's worth the risk. Well, I'm thinking that's a wrap. So I want to thank you guys for joining me tonight. Next episode, Nick and I will be reunited, talking about all kinds of stuff. In the meantime, be sure to check out our websites at geekecpodcast.wordpress.com. We've got some interesting articles up there, including, I think the newest one was teens reacting to NES games. So you can check that out. It gave me a headache watching these freaking kids trying to play Mario and just failing miserably at it. Oh my God. I almost stopped the video at one point because I was so sick. But check that out. Yeah, you can also find numerous podcast episodes on there. If you want to tweet us, you can find us on the Twitter at Geek EC Podcast. You can also look us up on Facebook. Just look for Geek Eclectic. And yeah, if you're watching this, and please make sure to like and subscribe. We want to see how far we can take this, and really try to make something special out of it. So thanks you guys for sticking with me. Until next time, see you guys later. Bye. See you later, shitlord.
It won't always be fun. So when you start to think about the alternate route, I'll stop to hear what you're all about. Treasure these moments, they're all we've got. Lots of big